معرفة.
This has become this issue, and the way I classify this issue is asset-based and asset-backed. Asset-based is basically an ultimate corporate risk. There is no true sale of the underlying asset, and the Sukuk holders do not have recourse to the underlying asset. Asset-backed is where there is a true sale of the underlying asset. You have recourse to the underlying asset. The credit risk is not the corporate risk, but a risk of the performance of the underlying asset. Let's take an example of a real estate. Your Sukuk is a ijara based. You're selling real estate. In an asset based structure, you will only contractually sell that real estate. You will not go to the relevant land department and register the transfer in the name of the SPV. In asset backed, you will do the contract of sale. You will also go to the land department and register the transfer of that real estate. That is a fundamental difference between the two. Now, from a structuring perspective, 98% of global Sukuk have been asset-based, not asset-backed. The issue, and you're absolutely right, this issue became a very fundamental point when there was an announcement in 2010 in the UAE where a very prominent Sukuk issuer said that it will not be able to fulfill its obligations. I remember at the time I had a call from a client in the US saying, Mr. Rizwan, we need to foreclose on the underlying asset. And I remember telling the American brother that, sir, I don't think you can, because this was an asset-based Sukuk, not an asset-backed Sukuk. You do not have recourse to the underlying asset. Oh, but I have that land that is sold. I said, yes, but you do not have recourse to it. Please look at the limited recourse language. And that suddenly became an issue. And since 2010, the issue pertaining to asset-based and asset-backed has become a very prominent issue. Whether we will see a shift to the true asset-backed issuance or not, I think we will, but not in the near future. Why? Because Sharia scholars at the moment are of the opinion that an asset-based transaction is Sharia compliant. Why? Because from a Shar'an perspective, they say when a contract of sale has happened, from a Sharia perspective, the sale has happened. Sharia does not need to get confirmation that actually the registration has taken place at the land department. According to Sharia, once you have a contract of sale, the sale is complete. And this is where there is a disconnect between what Sharia's expectations are and what the law of the land's expectations are. In the law of the land, transfer only happens when you register at the land department. Sharia says when you enter into a contract in writing, the sale has happened. We don't care whether you go and transfer it at the land department or not. This disconnect between the reality of the law of the land and Sharia needs to be bridged very quickly. Insofar as scholars will continue accepting asset-based transactions as Sharia compliant, there is very little incentive for issuers, for investors to go the extra mile to make it purer and in line with the spirit of Islamic finance, which has always been asset-backed issuances.
معرفة.